It was the trial that got Australia talking about consent. In 2013, Saxon Mullins was just 18, a virgin, and experiencing her first night out in Sydney's King's Cross. She kissed a young man on the dance floor who turned out to be the owner's son. He led her outside to an alley. When she realized his intent, she stopped. He didn't. In a country where 1 in 6 women has been sexually assaulted, we have to confront the fundamental issues of violence against women and what truly constitutes consent. Saxon bravely stands for the women of Australia in I Am That Girl. Get ready to feel angry because the handling of this case and the consequences for the perpetrator are shockingly unjust. This is one of the most disturbing true crime documentaries you'll ever see.
It all started with the Saxon case. Saxon, just 18 and a virgin, was out for her first time in Sydney's buzzing King's Cross. She shared a simple kiss with a young man on the dance floor. This seemingly innocent moment quickly spun into a national debate. A trial that shook Australia, igniting conversations about consent and justice. Join us as we explore the drama, societal reactions, and the dialogue it sparked. Don't miss out. Watch, share, and engage in this crucial conversation.
And next led to a high-profile trial. It forced everyone to look hard at what consent truly means. The court case brought up tough questions about agreement and choice. It made individuals and our society rethink how we understand sexual interactions. The Saxon case. We will look at its legal side, its big impact on society, and its lasting legacy. This trial changed how Australians talk about, teach, and understand consent forever. Understanding the Saxon case, the events of that night. The initial encounter. Saxon was excited for her big night out in King's Cross. She was young, just turning 18, and enjoying her first real taste of Sydney's nightlife. Amidst the music and crowds, she met a young man. They shared a kiss on the dance floor. At that moment, it seemed like a common, consensual start to an evening. The initial interaction felt ordinary to many. It was a simple, shared moment between two people. This perceived agreement, however, soon came under intense scrutiny. The allegations and legal proceedings. The night took a different turn after the kiss. Saxon later made serious allegations against the young man. These claims quickly moved into the legal system. Police launched an investigation into the matter. Charges were laid, and the case headed to court. The legal process began to unfold, setting the stage for a trial that would capture the nation's attention. This court battle would soon highlight the complex nature of consent. Consent, deconstructing the legal definition. What constitutes consent? In Australia, the law is clear about what consent means for sexual activity. Consent must be given freely and willingly. It is an ongoing agreement. Someone can agree to one thing but not another. Consent cannot be given if someone is forced. It also cannot be given if they are too drunk or drugged to understand what is happening. The law stresses that consent must be active and enthusiastic, not just the absence of a no. Key legal principles in sexual assault cases. Sexual assault cases in court follow important rules. One big rule is the presumption of innocence. This means an accused person is innocent until proven guilty. The person bringing the charges, the prosecution, must prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. This is called the burden of proof. The Saxon trial relied on these same principles. The court had to look at every detail to see if all parts of the sexual assault charge were met. This included whether consent was truly given. The trial's impact on public perception of consent. Media coverage and public discourse. The Saxon trial quickly filled news headlines. Newspapers, TV, and social media talked about it non-stop. This widespread media attention deeply shaped how people saw the case. It also changed how they understood consent. Different ideas about consent were shouted out loud. Some people focused on Saxon's choices that night. Others argued about the young man's actions. This public talk amplified many different views on what consent looks like. Challenges in prosecuting consent cases. Cases involving consent are often very tough to prove in court. The Saxon trial certainly showed this difficulty. When one person says yes and another says no, it becomes a he said, she said situation. There might not be much physical evidence. This trial made more people aware of these challenges. It sparked talks about how hard it is to get a conviction when consent is the main point of disagreement. Many learned that the legal process itself can be very complex for everyone involved. Voices of expertise, legal and social perspectives. Expert analysis of the legal arguments. Legal experts watched the Saxon trial closely. They talked about how the courts interpret consent. They looked at past rulings and how they might apply here. These experts debated what a reasonable belief in consent truly meant for the accused. They explored how the law balances the rights of both parties. Their insights helped people understand the court's tough job. Social commentators on consent education. Beyond the courtroom, social experts spoke out. Sociologists and advocates discussed the wider impact of the trial. They talked about the need for better consent education. Many argued that schools and families needed to do more. Groups like Rape and Domestic Violence Services Australia highlighted the need for clear messages. They stressed that consent is about respect and communication. Reports and studies often show a big gap in what young people know about consent. This trial brought those gaps into the light. A lasting legacy, shifting the conversation. Education and awareness initiatives. The Saxon case, along with other similar stories, became a turning point. It pushed for more focus on consent education. Schools across Australia started to bring in new programs. These programs teach young people what consent means. Communities also launched awareness campaigns. These efforts aimed to give clear messages about clear consent. The goal was to build a culture where everyone understands and respects boundaries. Policy and legislative reform discussions. The trial also helped kick off bigger discussions about laws. People began to ask if Australia's consent laws were strong enough. There were talks about reviewing how police handle sexual assault complaints. The idea was to make sure that the legal system could better address these complex cases.
The Saxon case was a defining moment for Australia. It forced our nation to have a deep, often uncomfortable conversation about consent. It showed us that understanding agreement in sexual interactions is not always simple. We still need strong consent education in all areas of life. Everyone must commit to truly understanding and respecting consent every single time. By applying the lessons learned from this trial, we can work towards a safer, more informed approach to all sexual interaction. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more eye-opening discussions.